MRSSSTIX and I have been playing a lot of Tower Fantasy. We've been streaming it for a cumulative total of over 50 hours now on Twitch. And honestly, we have been having more fun in it than in any other MMO released within the last 6 months. Lost Ark, Elion, New World. Now, even despite the fact that I did a video exposing various malpractices that Tower Fantasy and the developers were involved with, I have always been an advocate for this game. Just because I have something negative to say about a topic does not mean that I haven't, or that I can't continue to also say positive things about it. Things are not only black or white, and as such, I am capable of not only having but also expressing mixed feelings, mixed opinions on a game without hating it. Nevertheless, we have had a few different recurring questions pop up over the course of our time streaming, and those are questions that I want to take a few minutes to go ahead and elaborate on today. Quick shout out to our patrons over on Patreon. This allows you to directly support us if you're interested. Every patron will have their name appear at the beginning of every single YouTube video, and you'll be immortalized in the MMO genre forever. Number one, let's go ahead and start this off with the most important topic first. Last month, I did a video titled At Last, Tower Fantasy Global plus Console Confirmation, where I went on to cover several different tweets that were made by both the global and the Japanese Tower Fantasy Twitter pages. Unfortunately, I was to overcome with excitement at the time to process the fact that the Japanese tweet that went on to confirm that they were working on a console release may have been a translation issue. As evidenced on screen, the tweet, when translated, read, "It will be played on smartphones and PCs, but the console is under development. We will let you know if there is any progress." Now, I know better than anyone else, or at the very least I should know better than anyone else, that Google Translate is not the most reliable of sources. And instead of taking the time here to run this through a variety of different translators, I instead took to making a video with that single instance used as reference. When running it through a much more reliable translator, DeepL, however, things read a little bit differently. It will be played on phones and PCs, but consoles are under consideration for development. We will keep you updated on any developments. Now, for whatever reason, Google had completely omitted the consideration term from its translation, leading me to falsely believe that the game was in fact confirmed to be releasing onto consoles. Now, I have no issue admitting when I'm wrong, and I was. I acted in hubris, I didn't verify with multiple sources, and I proceeded to post a video too quickly. And as a result, there have been a multitude of people that have been led to believe that there is a confirmed release expected for console someday. Now, I do want to add a little bit of speculation to this, however, as I do believe we can still expect one, given the Japanese tweet stated that it is under consideration, and according to their Discord, they don't have any plans for a console release at this time. So I apologize for the mistranslation. There is no confirmed console release date at present, but I do personally feel that there will be eventually. Now, number two, when is Tower Fantasy coming out globally, and what is the exact release date? That is the most asked question by far. We cannot go 2 minutes without having 3 different people ask for the exact day of release. And unfortunately, at the same time, that is the one question that is also impossible for us or anyone to answer. A global version of this game is confirmed. We're playing this on stream every day. It's translated in English, it features English voice acting for various different characters, but we have no clear indication of when the game will be launching for us. What we do know is that Tower Fantasy is confirmed to be coming out in 2022. This information is publicly available across their social media, across their Discord, and can even be found in-game. They're very vague concerning when in 2022 the game is going to be releasing. Given the beta lasts for the better half of this month, I guarantee we will not be receiving it in the month of May, and June seems a little bit out of the question since they're going to have a lot of feedback to process, which realistically means that we're probably looking at the 3rd or 4th quarter of 2022. Number 3. Is Tower of Fantasy an MMO? Why don't I see other players out in the world? Why don't I see other players running by? Why don't I see you interacting with other players? These are questions that we get en masse as well. Yes, this is a full-fledged MMO. We've had groups of players on screen simultaneously, all out in the world. We've participated in 7 different world boss fights now, and have had 10, 20 people or more all rushing to engage the boss with us. Granted, we do have to announce that there is a world boss in world chat, so players are actively aware of its presence. We've seen players while running around doing the story, while out collecting. Just because you don't see them at every period in the game does not mean that they're not there. Sure, they haven't been too common due to the sheer size of the world, and the fact that this is a beta test. The combination of the two severely limits the frequency with which you will actively encounter other players, but the number of things that you can do out in the world, the selection of group content available to you, this is what an anime MMO released in 2022 should be. Number 4, is there a way to still get into the beta test? The answer to that, as far as I'm aware, is unfortunately no. The chance to access the beta test closed a while ago before the beta began. Yes, there was a security breach that allowed players to gain illegal access to the beta test, and I'm unsure if those accounts were immediately banned after being found out, or if they were allowed to continue to participate in the beta, but legally, no. There should be no way realistically for you to access this beta test if you did not receive official access at the time the rest of us did. Number 5, will there be future closed beta tests? Will there be an open beta in the future? That is unconfirmed. If the devs believe that they received an adequate amount of feedback over the course of this test phase, then I don't believe there will be. However, if they want to test other features or the 2.0 update for global players, the second closed beta test might take place. An open beta has not been confirmed, but is definitely also a possibility. And finally, number, 6, is Tower of Fantasy a Genshin Impact clone? And the simple answer to that is both yes and no. Well, that isn't really a simple answer. Let me clarify. Yes, there are definitely aspects of Tower of Fantasy that take inspiration from Genshin Impact, the graphical style, the world, the stamina, but it takes as much inspiration from Genshin as Genshin took from Breath of the Wild. So while it might be accurate to call it a Genshin clone to some, it would be more accurate to call this another Breath of the Wild clone. Although it does do quite a bit different to Genshin to sufficiently set itself apart. This is an MMORPG. It has actual competent multiplayer content. It has significantly better rates on waifus. It has better combat mechanics, more varied content. Although its animations are definitely worse. I feel the world isn't nearly as large, the story isn't as good. Honestly, both games have their pros and their cons. Every game does. And overall, I hope that this answers some of the questions that you might have had concerning the game. Yes, I am having fun. Yes, MMOSSSTIX is also having fun. Yes, I also did a video exposing certain aspects of it, but that does not mean that I suddenly have something against the game. On the contrary, I do believe players should know the history of a game and the company behind the game before dedicating time to it or spending money on it. It is my duty as a content creator, and I feel like I would be doing you all a disservice if I did not cover that.